Welcome to this course on creating a logo inside of Maya. Now, during this course, we're going to basically import a curve, an EPS curve from Illustrator. Now, you don't have to have Illustrator to do this course, because at the end of the course, you'll see that we can actually create text using the tools within Maya. But if you've got custom text, you might want to create that in something like Illustrator and then be able to export those curves out and turn them into 3D objects within Maya itself. Now, in this part of the course, I'm just going to quickly show you how you can navigate around. So what we've got here is, this is for beginners, this part of the course. We've got a shelf up the top here, which is default, I think, with most of the Maya installs, and I'm using 2.13 here, Maya 2013, but not a lot's changed. So up here we've got polygons, and this is the different tabs we can move into. So we'll leave it on polygons at first, and to create an object I'm just going to click here and it will create a sphere. Now, you might have a little box appear because you might have interactive turned on. So I think that's down here, and then you've got something like interactive display, which is under one of these tabs. I turn mine off by default. Let me just find out where it is so you can turn yours off as well. Yeah, we need to go into create, and under polygons you can see here we've got down the bottom, we've got interactive on creation. We've also got the same for NURBS, which I'll leave it on interactive, but the polygons, you've got it down there. So if I turn that on, I'll show you what happens if I've got interactive turned on. So I'll click there, and now if I create this sphere now, it will say drag on the grid, and it will basically drag it out so you can put it on there. Okay, so that's the difference between interactive. Like I said, I tend to turn that off by default, so I can just drag it out myself. Okay, so with this in there, what you've got at the moment is wireframe. If we click off of the canvas, it'll unselect that object. If you click the object, it will select it. Okay, so what you can do is, to view this, to actually zoom in, what you can do is you can press the Alt key and middle and the right mouse hand button, and you can zoom in and out. Okay, if you just use the left mouse button and the Alt key, you can spin around the object. Okay, and then the middle mouse button, you can translate. Okay, so left mouse Alt key, left mouse button, zoom in and out. Okay, hold the Alt key, left mouse button, and pan around. Yeah, and middle mouse key, translate around. All right, so that's the navigation. Now I've got a little head-up display here, but you don't really need that, but I think that's under the head-up display, and I've just got polygon turned on. You can just turn extra things on if you need them. I tend to turn this on so I can see how many vertices and faces I've got and things, but you don't need it. So if you select the object, you obviously just click on the object and it will be selected. To view this, we've got it in wireframe at the moment, as I said, and you'll see this grid on the floor. This is the ground grid. As you can see, we're halfway through the ground grid looking at it like this. You might also have a 4-panel display, which you can get to here. If you want to view one of the panels, you can just mouse over it and press the space bar. Okay, if you press the space bar again, it will go back to the 4 display. Okay, so space bar, you can zoom in and out of the different views, because here we've got top, front and side and perspective. Okay, so now we've got this in wireframe, but we want to view it in a solid. So if you go up to shading, you've got different display modes here. If you do smooth shade all, now you've got it as you would want to see it. Okay, but most of the time I work with wireframe on shaded, so I can still see the geometry, but I can see the wireframes as well, because we might want to do things with the wireframe. You'll see a lot I'm choosing vertices and faces and edges. Now, to get to these edges, vertices and faces, well, this is a face. We right hand click and we can go face, and that means that you can select individual faces. If you hold the control key, you can select more than one face, or sorry, the shift key. Okay, you can select more than one face. And faces are good because you might want to delete them out like this, and then you can sort of see through it like windows. Press Control and Z and you can go back one. Now also we'll be looking at vertices, so again right hand click and go to vertice, and these are these little points here, and using this move, rotate and scale key we can manipulate them. So if I press the move key, now I've got my little axis, yeah, which is my X, Z and Y, yeah, Z going back, the blue going back, the X is on the red and the Y is on the green. But if I get this and I drag this, I can pull it out. I can also free move it by using the middle. So this would be an up move, this would be across, and this would be a back move there. And you can get in the middle. So I'll be using that quite a lot. So you can, again, you can press the shift key and select more than one of these vertices if you want to. Yeah, so we can move two out there. Yeah, so that's that. And the other thing is edges. So right hand click and edge. You might want to again move an edge. Yeah, so that's the basics of all the stuff we'll be using. We will be doing things like inserting extra edges in. We will be doing things like merging two vertices together. Yeah, so we'll do that. And if I want to lock this vertice on that vertice, I can hold the W key. You see it becomes round in the middle and we can lock it to there. So if I wanted to merge these two vertices together, I could go up to Edit Mesh and I could go to Merge Vertices, or just Merge, and it would merge those together, basically making that one vertice now. Control and Z to go back, hold the Control key, press the Z, and it takes you back. So you can keep going back to put it back to being a nice sphere. Okay, to move the object we again use these. Now I do use short keys in this course, so I'm using the W key. If I just select off, if I select that for instance, if I press the W key with this selected, it will turn to move mode. If I press the E key, it will be rotation mode, and if I press the R key, it will be scale mode. Okay, so W key, move it around. Okay, E key to rotate this around. You've got rotation points that you can use here and here, as you can see, and obviously, like I said, the scale key. Now that I've been scaling from the middle, but I could scale this way, or this way if I wanted to. So that's a bit of a basics on how to use Startup and use Maya. I don't want to get too sophisticated with this. That's enough for you to take on. These are the basic things you need to know about Maya. One last thing is attributes to do with this object are normally in the attribute editor. It might be closed on your screen, so just click that and open it up. Okay, and you can open up the attributes there, or you can open up the simplified view of that. So attribute editor, this is all things to do with this sphere, and it allows you to go in and modify things more, like increase the amount of subdivision axis on that axis and on the height axis. So quite powerful, this area. And you can also come in here if you wanted to and set a certain scale. So I might want to put 4. By the way, if you've got something selected, you want to frame it in the viewpoint, you can press F on the keyboard and it will frame the object. Okay, just a speedy shortcut for you. So as you can see, I've made that much bigger, but I can also bring it back down again, like that. And this point in the middle, if I press the W key to go to move, is called the axis point of this, or the pivot point. Okay, and the pivot point can be moved. It can be locked to certain things. So for instance, if I want to lock this to the bottom of the object, because this is the base and that's where I want to move everything from, I can press the insert key on the keyboard. That will make this go like that. Now if you press the V key, I can lock this to a vertice. So if I go to the bottom here, I can lock it to this bottom of this sphere. And then if I want to lock that in that position, I can press the insert key again, and now the axis point for this object is on the base. But not only that, if we want to lock it to the grid now, it makes it really easy for us to lock it to the middle. All we do is press the X key and we can lock it to grid points. And if you look, it's snapping to each of the intersections of the grid point. Do you see that? So I can lock it to dead center by pressing the X and holding it there. And now I'm on the ground plane exactly. So really good for positioning by using the access point, the pivot point. Now also you might want to center this pivot point at certain points. So if you go to modify, you can actually go center pivot point, and it will look at the object in a hole, and it will find out exactly where the middle of that object is, and it will center it in that object. But remember, if you do that, then you've lost the pivot point from the bottom. So it's up to you if you want to use that or not, but watch the course and you'll see what we're doing. So that's a basic look of how we can use Maya. So now start the course and let's get into it.